artists come in and just sign a paper and go in the studio and rap. It's like a lot of hustlers coming to the table and partnering together and putting their vision on the table, and we all building this thing together.
Behind every superstar artist, there's a squad working harder than a caffeinated beaver. And in the rap game, it's not all glitz and glam. Some of those associates are as dangerous as a mosquito at a blood bank. Now, we all know rappers and gangs go together like peanut butter and jelly. It's practically hip-hop law. These associates aren't just into beats. They've dabbled in some seriously sinister symphonies: murder, robbery, and other heinous acts. As we navigate the murky waters of Big Juke's murder and the links to Young Dolph's death, let's look at some of Gotti's most dangerous associates: the Trilla Mafia. After Young Dolph's murder in 2022, Memphis was about to be rocked by a series of arrests that would shock the city and the criminal underworld. It all began on a fateful Wednesday, January 5th, when the police announced that they had identified their prime suspect in the high-profile murder case. The suspect's name was Justin Johnson, a rapper known by his stage name, Straight Drop. At just 23 years old, Johnson had already made a name for himself, but not in the way he had hoped. His rap sheet was filled with a history of illegal activities and violent incidents, making him a person of interest to law enforcement. But it wasn't just Johnson's criminal past that caught the attention of the authorities. They soon discovered that he was also connected to a notorious Trilla Mafia gang. This new information made the case more complicated and made people wonder why the murder happened. The police quickly charged Johnson, accusing him of first-degree murder. As news of Johnson's arrest warrant spread, the authorities in Tennessee made a bold move. They announced that they would offer a reward of up to $15,000 to anyone who could provide information leading to his capture. The stakes were high, and the hunt for Johnson was on. Meanwhile, another suspect was making headlines in connection to the murder case. His name was Cornelius Smith, a 32-year-old man with a troubled past. Smith had been arrested for stealing the car that was used in the murder, and on January 11, 2022, he was formally accused of first-degree murder, illegal weapon possession, and robbery. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly coming together, and the police were determined to bring all those involved to justice. But the story didn't end there. On that same day, the police made a breakthrough in their investigation. Acting on a tip from the public, they were able to apprehend Justin Johnson in Indiana. It was a significant moment in the case, and the police were relieved to have their prime suspect in custody. The arrest of Johnson brought a sense of closure to the community, but it was only the beginning of a much larger story. As the investigation continued, another individual was caught in the web of this criminal affair. His name was Shundale Barnett, a 27-year-old man who happened to be in the car with Johnson when they were arrested. Barnett became the third suspect in the case, but his role was different from the others. While Johnson and Smith were charged with grand theft, first-degree murder, illegal weapon possession, and using a gun during a serious crime, Barnett faced charges as an after-the-fact accessory. He was not the mastermind behind the murder, but rather guilty by association. He found himself slapped with a "You Were There" sticker, a reminder of his involvement in the aftermath of the crime. Being an after-the-fact accessory meant that Barnett had become involved in assisting or covering up the crime after it had already taken place. Although he wasn't directly involved in committing the murder itself, his presence in the car with Johnson when he was apprehended suggested that he was aiding Johnson after the crime had occurred. The extent of Barnett's involvement and the specific actions he took as an accessory would determine the legal charges he might face. Not long after, Hernandez Govin, the fourth suspect, was charged with killing Young Dolph and being the mastermind behind the plan to take his life. The allegations against him were grave, suggesting that he had ordered the attack. Adding Govin as a suspect made the case more complicated. It made people wonder why the murder happened and how much the Trilla Mafia had to do with it. The police thought Govin was a big part of planning the attack, but we didn't know all the details yet. However, just when it seemed like the case couldn't get any more surprising, a plot twist of all plot twists occurred. In June 2023, suspect number 5, Jamarcus Johnson, made a shocking confession. In a grand courtroom reveal, he admitted to assisting after the crime. The revelation sparked controversies as Johnson became the star witness, ready to drop truth bombs on his fellow suspects. In exchange for his cooperation, Johnson received a reduced charge and a "you're off the hook" for planning card. It was a remarkable turn of events, as Johnson went from being a suspect to a key player in the trial. But the story didn't end there. The trial for those accused of killing Young Dolph was far from over. Due to the seriousness of the charges and the complexity of the legal process, the trial might not happen until later this year. The wait for justice was agonizing for the community as they yearned for closure and accountability. As we await the trial and the possible punishment of these individuals, it's important to reflect on the shocking events that unfolded. The arrests of Justin Johnson, Cornelius Smith, Shundale Barnett, Hernandez Govan, and the surprising confession of Jamarcus Johnson have shed light on what happened the night of Young Dolph's murder. To truly understand the events surrounding the Trilla Mafia and the murder of Young Dolph, we must delve into the connections between the gang, Yo Gotti, and Young Dolph himself. Young Dolph, the founder of Paper Route Empire, had built a successful record label and had a promising career ahead of him. In 2017, he made a fateful decision to include Key Glock, a talented rapper and his cousin by marriage, into his record label. While Dolph saw this as a business move, he failed to consider the beefs and problems that Key Glock and other young rappers affiliated with the label had in the streets. This decision proved to be a grave mistake, as it ignited tensions between the Trilla Mafia and the Paper Route Empire. The Trilla Mafia, known for their audacious criminal activities, saw Dolph's signing of Key Glock and the rappers and the affiliation with Paper Route Empire as a direct challenge. They took it upon themselves to target Young Dolph, seeking revenge and asserting their dominance. The Trilla Mafia's disrespect for Young Dolph and his label was evident in their actions. They didn't just take Paper Route Empire's chains, they went a step further and actually wore them. This act symbolized the utmost level of disrespect in the hip-hop world, a power move that can showcase control and dominance over rivals. However, the tensions between Young Dolph and the Trilla Mafia were not the only source of conflict. Dolph had a long-standing beef with Yo Gotti. The saying goes, the enemy of your enemy is your friend, and this adage held true in the case of the Trilla Mafia, Yo Gotti and Young Dolph. Dolph's problems with Yo Gotti and the Trilla Mafia's problems with Dolph and the entire Paper Route Empire created a tangled web of alliances and rivalries. The connections between the Trilla Mafia and Yo Gotti's collective music group were not mere speculation. Footage and images circulated online showing Hernandez Govan, one of the 5 suspects being tried for Dolph's murder, hanging out with Big Juke, who happens to be Gotti's sibling. These connections fueled speculation about Yo Gotti's involvement in the murder, and online investigators had a field day connecting the dots. While the exact nature of Yo Gotti's involvement remains unclear, the ties between the Trilla Mafia, Yo Gotti, and Young Dolph cannot be ignored. The beef and rivalries that existed between them created a volatile environment where violence and revenge became the norm. The implications of their actions are far-reaching. The murder of Young Dolph not only robbed the world of a rising star, but also exposed the dark underbelly of the music industry. The Trilla Mafia's involvement in a comprehensive criminal operation, including car theft and their alleged role in a serious crime like murder, raises the possibility of a RICO case. The Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act allows law enforcement to target not only individual criminals, but also the entire criminal organization and its members. If the evidence supports it, a RICO case could be a powerful tool in dismantling the Trilla Mafia and holding all those involved accountable. Despite some claims that Gotti is not really associated with the Trilla Mafia gang, this is not true. It's more likely that Yo Gotti didn't want to be seen on camera with them. There have been instances where others seem to be carrying out his orders. For example, when Young Dolph was alive, he accused Yo Gotti of using his brother, Big Juke, to do his dirty work. Another example is the case of Black Youngsta, who seems to take the feud with Young Dolph more personally than Yo Gotti does. Black Youngsta. Black Youngsta grew up in the tough neighborhoods of South Memphis. It was here that he discovered his passion for music, using it as an escape from the challenges of his surroundings. With a natural talent for rhyming, Black Youngsta quickly caught the attention of local audiences. He said, "I always knew I wanted to make it big in the music industry. I started writing rhymes at a young age, and as I got older, I began performing at local talent shows and open mic nights. The energy from the crowd was electrifying, and I knew I had found my calling." Black Youngsta's dedication and raw talent soon caught the attention of industry insiders. In 2015, he signed a record deal with Collective Music Group, the label founded by Yo Gotti. This partnership would prove to be a turning point in Black Youngsta's career, opening doors to new opportunities and a wider audience. With the support of CMG, Black Youngsta released a series of mixtapes. Black Youngsta's breakout moment came with the release of his hit single Heavy in 2015. The track became an instant anthem for the streets. It garnered millions of views on YouTube and catapulted Black Youngsta into the national spotlight. Riding the wave of success, Black Youngsta continued to release music. Tracks like I Swear to God and Hip Hopper showcased his versatility as an artist. As his popularity soared, Black Youngsta began collaborating with some of the biggest names in the industry. He teamed up with artists like Travis Scott, Lil Yachty, and French Montana, further solidifying his status as a rising star in hip-hop. But as Black Youngstar's star continued to rise, so did the controversies that surrounded him. In 2016, he found himself at the center of a shocking incident. During the CIAA basketball tournament in Charlotte, North Carolina, Black Youngstar was accused of being involved in a shooting incident targeting young Dolph. The incident made headlines across the country, with rumors and speculation swirling around Black Youngstar's alleged involvement. Black Youngstar, maintaining his innocence, turned himself in to the police. However, as the investigation unfolded, police said he had no connection to the shooting. At some point, he was knee-deep in the beef between Gotti and Dolph. It started on March 2nd, 2016, when Black Youngstar took to his Instagram account to publicly disrespect and challenge young Dolph's claim of being the king of Memphis. In a now-deleted video, Black Youngstar didn't hold back his words. He directly addressed young Dolph, calling him a bitch and questioning his authenticity as a Memphis native. With an aggressive tone, Black Youngstar boldly stated, "Dolph, you a soft-ass nigga. If you got a problem, say you got a problem." The video quickly gained attention, but Black Youngstar didn't stop at mere insults. In the caption of his Instagram post, he took his threats to another level, writing, "When I see that nigga young Dolph I'ma smack the shit out him on my life." These words left no room for interpretation, making it clear that the drama between young Dolph and Yo Gotti was real. After first levying threats against young Dolph on behalf of Yo Gotti, Black Youngstar upped the ante by taking his aggression to the streets. On that same day, armed with heavy artillery, Black Youngstar and his crew showed up in young Dolph's stomping grounds in Memphis, ready to make a statement. Capturing the scene on video, Black Youngstar and his entourage took a bold stroll through South Memphis's Castalia neighborhood, actively searching for young Dolph. The video footage showcased Black Youngstar and his crew armed with weapons. It was a display of power and a warning to young Dolph that they meant business. Although Black Youngstar and his crew did not run into young Dolph during their visit to his neighborhood, the message had been sent. The video served as undeniable evidence of the intensity and potential for violence in this feud. When Black Youngstar began dissing young Dolph, many speculated that Yo Gotti, as the head of CMG and Black Youngstar's mentor, was behind his artist's actions. However, Yo Gotti would later address the situation and provide some clarity on his stance. During an interview with Tim Westwood, Yo Gotti chose not to directly address the beef with young Dolph. Instead, he focused on Black Youngstar's recent antics and threats against Gotti's rival. Gotti made it clear that he saw himself as a guiding figure for his artists, offering advice and counsel from a big brother standpoint.
I'm always the homie on the team, so I'm always give them, the proper advice that I believe I should give them from like a big brother standpoint or just being the homie standpoint.
He emphasized that he didn't handle business in the same confrontational manner as Black Youngstar, and he advised all young artists, including Black Youngstar, to avoid handling their disputes in such a way. However, Gotti's response raised eyebrows and led to skepticism among many. Black Youngstar was signed to Gotti's label, and it seemed unlikely that he would be taking such actions without Gotti's knowledge or approval. This contradiction left fans and critics questioning the authenticity of Gotti's statement and the true extent of his involvement. After initially taking the high road in the face of Black Youngstar's provocations, young Dolph finally broke his silence and responded with a fiery rebuttal. Taking to his Instagram account on March 16, 2016, Dolph unleashed a series of videos and captions that left no doubt about his feelings towards his rivals. In his Instagram post, young Dolph didn't hold back, accusing Yo Gotti of hating on Memphis rap legends like 3 6 Mafia, 8 Ball, and MJG, and others. He also claimed that Gotti was behind Black Youngstar's actions, sending him to fight his battles. Dolph didn't shy away from addressing Gotti's grievances either, suggesting that Gotti was still harboring resentment because Dolph never signed with him. In one of his captions, Dolph directly called out Gotti, stating, "First thing first, everybody knows it's you, Ado Gotti. That's sending your artist out to say the lame shit he's been saying and doing." He didn't stop there, further taunting Gotti by mentioning his fallout with Gucci Mane and insinuating that Gotti was upset with him for remaining loyal to Gucci. To emphasize his point, young Dolph posted a picture featuring a lineup of influential Memphis rap acts who paved the way for him. With each post, young Dolph continued to chastise and belittle Yo Gotti, officially throwing down the gauntlet and putting Gotti on notice. In response to young Dolph's comments, Black Youngstar wasted no time in returning the favor. Just a day after Dolph's remarks, Black Youngstar released a diss track titled Shake Some. In this track, he discredited young Dolph's ties to Memphis and his claim of being the king of the city. On September 9th, 2016, Black Youngstar said in an interview that they had made up and resolved their issues. He also mentioned that despite the tension, Yo Gotti actually liked young Dolph and tried to end the conflict. However, young Dolph did not agree that the argument was over, which meant there could still be more problems between them. While the feud with young Dolph was a significant challenge for Black Youngstar, it was not the only controversy he faced. In 2017, he found himself in legal trouble once once again, this time in connection with a shooting incident in Charlotte. Black Youngstar was arrested and charged with 6 counts of discharging a firearm into occupied property and felony conspiracy. The incident allegedly stemmed from a dispute over a stolen vehicle. Black Youngstar maintained his innocence throughout the trial, but the legal battle took a toll on his career and personal life. After a lengthy trial, Black Youngstar was acquitted of all charges in 2019. The verdict brought some relief, but the damage had already been done. The controversies and legal battles had taken a toll on his reputation and affected his ability to move forward in the industry. He also lost his brother in 2023, Big Jook. Big Jook's role within Yo Gotti's record label, CMG, would prove to be instrumental in shaping the trajectory of his brother's success. CMG became a powerhouse in the music industry, thanks in large part to Big Jook's contributions. While his official title within CMG remains undisclosed, industry insiders reveal that Big Jook was a constant presence at various events, always seen by Yo Gotti's side. He was not just a brother, but also a trusted advisor, talent scout, and project manager for the record label. Big Jook's keen eye for talent and his ability to spot potential in up-and-coming artists played a crucial role in CMG's rise to prominence. Under his guidance, CMG partnered with major label Interscope and boasted an impressive roster of artists, including the likes of Glorilla, Big Boogie, and SG. The label achieved remarkable success under Yo Gotti's leadership, with chart-topping hits and sold-out concerts. But it was Big Jook's behind-the-scenes work that truly set CMG apart from the competition. He meticulously managed projects, ensuring that CMG's artists received the recognition they deserved. He was the driving force behind the scenes, working tirelessly to ensure that CMG's artists had the support and resources they needed to thrive in the industry. His keen business understanding and ability to navigate the ever-changing landscape of the music industry were invaluable to CMG's success. As CMG continued to dominate the music charts, Big Jook's influence extended beyond the label. He became a respected figure within the Memphis rap scene, earning the respect and admiration of his peers. His dedication to his craft and his support for Yo Gotti and the CMG family were evident in every project he touched. But tragically, Big Jook's life was cut short in a shocking act of violence that shocked the Memphis community. The incident took place outside Perignon's Restaurant and Event Center, where Big Jook had been attending a repast following the funeral of a relative, Eric Bovine. Eric Bovine, a former partner of Yo Gotti and Big Jook's aunt, was a well-known figure in Memphis during the 1980s, gaining notoriety as a cocaine kingpin and head of the infamous Bovine family. It was around 4:15 p.m. when gunshots rang out, shattering the atmosphere of mourning and remembrance. An officer from the Memphis Police Department, who happened to be in the vicinity of 6385 Winchester Road, immediately rushed to the scene upon hearing the gunfire. Upon arrival, the officer discovered 2 victims with multiple gunshot wounds. Tragically, Big Jook was identified as one of the victims. Despite the efforts of medical personnel, he was pronounced dead at the hospital. The second male victim's identity remains undisclosed, but he was in stable condition and receiving medical treatment. The shocking incident took place inside a vehicle, which was found at the scene by the responding officer. The exact sequence of events leading up to the shooting is still under investigation, with the Memphis Police Department meticulously examining evidence, including surveillance footage, to piece together the tragic events of that day. During a press conference held on the evening of the shooting, Deputy Chief Paul Wright addressed the media and provided some preliminary information. He stated that the police were analyzing video footage from the area, but had not yet identified a suspect. It remained unclear whether there were multiple shooters involved in the incident. Deputy Chief Wright also revealed that the police believe Big Jook may have been specifically targeted by the assailant. While the motive behind the shooting remains unknown, the investigation is focused on uncovering the truth and bringing those responsible to justice. A witness at the scene came forward with crucial information, shedding light on the perpetrators. According to the witness, the shooting was carried out by suspects who were seen fleeing in a white SUV. The vehicle, described as a white Ford Explorer with black wheels and dark tinted windows, was captured by surveillance cameras, providing valuable evidence for the ongoing investigation. The Memphis Police Department has urged anyone with information about the shooting to come forward and assist in the investigation. As the day of the funeral approached, the city of Memphis braced itself for what would become a historic event. The Greater Community Temple Church of God in Christ, a renowned place of worship in Memphis, was chosen as the venue for Big Jook's final farewell. Inside the church, a team of dedicated volunteers worked tirelessly to transform the space into a solemn and dignified setting befitting the occasion. Floral arrangements adorned the altar, while photographs of Big Jook in happier times were displayed throughout the sanctuary. The atmosphere was heavy with grief, but also with a sense of unity as the community rallied together. Meanwhile, outside the church, a different scene was unfolding. The Memphis Police Department, in collaboration with neighboring law enforcement agencies, had devised a comprehensive security plan to ensure the safety of the funeral attendees. Over 100 police officers were deployed, each with a specific role to play in maintaining order and preventing any potential acts of violence. The decision to have such a heavy police presence was not taken lightly. Authorities were well aware of the tension surrounding Big Juke's death and the potential for retaliation. Their primary objective was to create a visible deterrent, sending a clear message that any form of violence or disruption would not be tolerated. In addition to the significant police presence, strict security measures were implemented to ensure the safety of everyone attending the funeral. Mourners were subjected to thorough bag searches and metal detector screenings before entering the church. While these measures may have caused some inconvenience, they were deemed necessary to maintain a peaceful and secure environment. Inside the church, the funeral service began with heartfelt tributes and eulogies from family members and close friends. Gotti took the stage to deliver an emotional speech. As the funeral drew to a close, mourners slowly made their way out of the church, still surrounded by a heavy police presence. The officers maintained their vigilance, ensuring that the departure was as peaceful as the arrival. Despite the concerns leading up to the funeral, the event concluded without any major incidents, thanks in large part to the effective security measures put in place. The shocking death of Anthony Big Juke Mims left the hip-hop community searching for answers. Theories began to emerge, suggesting that his death was not a random act of violence, but rather a carefully orchestrated plan. And at the center of these theories lies a long-standing feud between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph. The conflict between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph has been well documented, with both artists engaging in public spats and exchanging diss tracks. However, the feud took a tragic turn in 2021 when Young Dolph was fatally shot. The circumstances surrounding his death gave rise to rumors that the beef between the two rappers was somehow to blame. Now, with Big Juke's assassination making headlines, the hip-hop community has once again turned its attention to the events of 2021. Social media platforms have been flooded with posts bearing the hashtags RIP Dolph and dolphin emojis, symbolizing the connection between the two incidents. The latest footage making rounds online seems to add weight to these theories. Snapshots show Big Juke in the company of Hernandez Govan, who is currently awaiting trial for his alleged involvement in the murder of Young Dolph.
Nigga told you, hey man, look, bro, my Juke put a $40,000 hit on you, bro. Like, nigga, man, come on, bro.
And in another video that surfaced, Grove Hero claimed that Big Juke had offered a $40,000 reward for information about Young Dolph. These revelations have fueled speculation that Big Juke's death may be connected to the death of Young Dolph. Blogger Vada Fly commented on the situation, stating, Yo Gotti's brother being seen in a picture with the dude who got arrested for putting together Young Dolph's murder shows how much they hated him. It took a team to plot, plan, and strategize on how to take Flipper out. Them boys were sick Dolph was blowing up. Many people believe that Big Juke's death is not entirely surprising, viewing it as a response from the streets to Young Dolph's death. The connections between the two incidents, coupled with the feud and the involvement of Hernandez Govan, have only intensified the speculation surrounding Big Juke's assassination. If you enjoyed this video, click on the card showing on your screen right now for more videos related to hip-hop culture.